Welcome back to consecutive day 1234 of a diary of a runpreneur. And today's episode, I want to talk about my post-marathon reflection. So remember to give this a subscribe, share, like and comment, as the more people we get in front of, the more money we raise on my fundraising mission to save the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon. All the information about the challenge getting involved is in the link in the comments below. Thank you as always, and let's get started. So, consecutive day 1234 of a diary of a runpreneur. And today's episode is about reflection, and it's about reflecting upon the events of the weekend, which were pretty emotional, quite an experience, quite a challenge, lots of kind of things that happened at the 10th anniversary Yorkshire Marathon. So it was a kind of a crazy marathon really. So many things conspired against me in the build up to it. Well, the last 5 months I've been struggling with plantar fasciitis, and I'm still kind of dealing with the lingering after effects of that injury, which is horrendous. I've had calf strains, quad strains, lots of kind of issues in the build up to the marathon, to the extent that I wasn't convinced I was going to be able to manage a training plan, which sounds crazy because I run every single day, but my training plan was based on upping my average speed that I run at for the preceding 9 weeks before the actual marathon. So I was kind of planning this quite a while back, and it was debatable whether I was going to be able to complete the training plan that I had set myself. So that was a challenge. And then come race day on Sunday, I had various different targets that I set myself based on the circumstances that I'd experienced. Originally, at the kind of early part of the year, I wanted to have a go at a 3:15 marathon. And due to injury and fitness levels and that, I just didn't think I'd have enough time, especially with injuries and stuff, to get close to that time. So I kind of rejigged my targets, and as a result, I kind of had 3 different targets really. First and foremost, worst case, I wanted to beat my existing personal best, which was 3 hours 38 minutes and 50 some odd seconds, I believe. So that was worst case target. I wanted to beat that time. I felt that due to the fitness levels that I have and the training I've been doing, I should be well able to complete that. Secondly, I said, you know what, a sub 3 hours and 35 minutes would be a nice one to get under. That would be give myself a sufficient cushion. And the best case was to kind of get under 3 hours 30. That's where I thought I was kind of at. Now, bizarrely, my training plan, despite all the pitfalls and everything, I trained to a mechanism or an algorithm called Tanda, which is basically an algorithm created by an Italian kind of sports scientist who created an algorithm to predict marathon performance. The accuracy of marathon performance gets much more accurate under 4 hours marathon times, but the algorithm was simply based on the average number of miles or kilometres you do per week in the preceding 8 weeks, with a week to taper down, the preceding 8 weeks before a marathon race day, and the average time that you run those average weekly mileage. And with that data, he can predict a projected marathon completion time. And the argument is that you could do 1 mile per week at light speed, or you could do 100 miles per week at a very slow speed and still have the same level of cardiovascular fitness, which is how he plots his prediction. So based on my marathon training that I did, my prediction time came in at 3 hours 27 and maybe 30 some odd seconds. And miraculously, I managed to get a 23 hours 24 minutes and 48 seconds as my finishing time. So I was get 3 minutes better off than what I was projected, or just under 3 minutes, 2 minutes 40 or something. I was marginally better, which is still pretty good prediction. So I was pretty much there or thereabouts on the fitness side of things. But the frustrating thing, I suppose, looking back on it, is, or the frustrating, or the kind of rewarding, I don't know what's the right word, is that the marathon race itself was going to plan. I was running a very good race. I felt very much in the race where I needed to be until 30 kilometres, and that's when I heard a horrendous snap in my foot, which I thought was a tendon or a ligament. It sounded so loud. What transpired was it was the popping of a horrendous blister that had been building up for the previous 30 kilometres, but it was so big. The only way you can describe it. There's a dog coming to attack me. Hopefully it doesn't attack me. Hiya, how you doing? So, lost my train of thought. Yeah, it was so big. The easiest way to describe it is probably, well, put it in perspective, I've got some plasters that are 5 centimetres squared, and they're too small to fit over the size of the raw skin that was ripped off off the sole of my foot. So I had 12 and a half, or 12.2 kilometres to be exact, although I officially ran 42.4 kilometres as opposed to 42.2, which is just marathon distance, so that's probably a little bit of swaying across the road. But anyway, so I had to run 12.2 kilometres with the worst blister I've ever experienced in my life, which was so bad, I was wincing at every step. Before that, my breathing, everything was great, it was in place. And when I reflect on marathons, when I'm running the race, obviously I have a strategic plan in place for the fueling, so I know what fuel I'm taking. I'm taking on pretty much 60 grams of carbohydrate every hour, which is my maximum intake. I'm taking it in 15-minute chunks, in instalments of 22 grams on the hour, and every half hour, or sorry, every hour and a half past the hour, I'm taking 22 grams via a gel, and then every quarter past and quarter to of the hour, I'm taking in 2 dextro tablets, which is there or thereabouts 6 to 8 grams of carbohydrate. So my fueling strategy was fine, no drama there. Although I might reconsider the dextro tablets. They're great to begin with, but towards the end, when you're a little bit more dehydrated, they become very powdery, quite difficult to kind of consume. So I might reevaluate that in the future. But and I also, when I'm running the race, I always ask myself 3 questions. How's my head? Is it clear? Is it thinking straight? Am I delirious? Am I not delirious? If my head's clear, I know I'm in a good place. That's number 1 priority for me. Number 2 is how's my cardiovascular system? How's my breathing? Am I gasping? You know, when you're really struggling, you gasp a lot. When you're comfortable, you can barely hear your breathing. And I was breathing perfectly well, so I was really happy with that. And then third priority is legs. How are my legs feeling? Yes, they might be tired or fatigued, but if your head and your cardiovascular system are fine, generally speaking, your legs will pretty much do what your head tells them to do. So I was in really good shape. And I was super proud of my performance because I reckon I averaged across the marathon, I think 4 minutes 49 seconds kilometres as a pace, but I was kind of between 4:40 and 4:45 for most of the marathon, and I was relatively comfortable with that until the blister popped, and the pain that I was experiencing, I started dropping gradually from 30 kilometres down, but I still managed to keep pretty much under 5 minute 10 kilometre pace, which was pretty good, and I didn't drop into over the 5 minute marker until maybe the last 5k. So I held it together through mental resilience, which was really, really reassuring that I'm mentally strong and thinking rational thoughts and logically during the marathon. So that was really, really pleasing. But I can't help but feel that despite hitting a massive PB, very happy to get under 3 hours 25, I kind of feel there was maybe 2-3 minutes left on the table there because of my blister injury, which makes me hungry and salivates my it's bizarre that I'm so excited about running another marathon so soon afterwards with such a bad injury. But I'm excited to try and potentially get closer to 3 hours 20 in spring next year. So yeah, I think the learnings from my diary today are always kind of reflect on a marathon race, or any race really, of what went right, what went wrong, what you can do differently next time. And I always try and keep myself in sync when I'm running races. Is my head okay? Because when you're hitting the wall and your body's shutting down, your head goes delirious. And if you ask yourself that question and you're struggling to answer it, you know your head's not in a good place. And then you need to start thinking about how you're going to manage the rest of the race rather than how you're going to continue to push forward to get the time you perhaps want. Secondly, cardiovascular system, how's your breathing? If you're gasping, you know, like, that's not going to be sustainable for a long period of time. Maybe the last 2 or 3 kilometres, you can probably withhold that, or maybe the last 5 kilometres at best, I would say, after a marathon. So if your breathing's okay, you're in a pretty good shape. Your head and your breathing's good. Then, thirdly, your legs, how are they feeling? Are they seriously fatigued? But regardless of how fatigued they are, if your head and your cardiovascular system are okay, you can generally make them force through with your legs. Now that's, and I suppose fourth is injury. Have you got any injuries? And if you have, how are you going to manage them through to completion? So have a checklist in your mind of how you're doing when you're running a marathon race. If you haven't got this in place, have something similar that you can keep bringing yourself back to when times are getting tough during an endurance race. Really, really important to kind of do that. And then what worked, what didn't work. So I've said that I liked extra tablets. For the first 30 kilometres, they were great, but I think I'll probably switch up my fueling for the next race, or I'll use my dextro tablets for the first 30 kilometres. The last 10 I'll switch to a more kind of moisture-based fuel to pick up those last little hits to completion. So maybe an energy block, a Cliff energy block or something along those lines. I'll still get the same amount of carbs, but in a different format, which is easily more palatable because you don't want to be spitting powder 30 to 42 kilometres. So anyway, hope that's a fair reflection. My blister is still pretty horrendous. However, I'm back out running today in my barefoot footwear at 6.5 minute kilometre pace, which is a good 2 minutes a kilometre faster than I was running yesterday. And hopefully it will get better. So I'll keep you posted on the injury, but hope that's useful. Any questions or comments, drop me a line. I respond to everyone. Remember to give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. The more people get in front of, the more money we raise on my fundraising mission to save the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon. All the information about the challenge, how you get involved, is in the link in the comments below. Thank you as always. Stay positive, stay happy. I'll see you again tomorrow.